was an educator. And so I started Mimi's Kinder Connection because there was a need out there for non-traditional programming, such as financial literacy and cooking and many other areas that I feel that the children deserve to be able to do. But I also am a doula who works with birth families as well as postpartum families, and I do events throughout the city, such as like working with the Phipps Conservatory to do their children's area, and making sure that that is set up in a family fun way while still getting them to be able to learn many new skills in a hands-on way.
Okay, cool. I just, Latoya, I did I tell you I got the books from Powernomics?
Oh no, you didn't, but cool. I mean, that's really, really dope, because what Miss Mimi didn't tell you was that she also has already done some financial literacy courses. So while she works with the little ones, she also has worked and done some financial lit with some of the older ones. And so we were going through that, and I just was telling her that you know, we have been, I'm going to share our notes screen, been working on some of the kind of foundational pieces of getting things together that's related to figuring out who we're going to target, figuring out what kind of habits they have, and letting them learn more about themselves so that they can figure out what they're good at and how to hone that and really monetize that. And so we were moving on to the like technical awareness piece, which really ensures that the learners understand the principles of business and finance, which is pretty cool that you got Powernomics in. So did you crack the seal yet?
Yeah, I did. I read the first book is, let me go get it. The first book is a book of questions.
Nice. Because in engineering, the first step is to always ask a question.
Right. And funny you should say that, because this book, if you could switch back on my video, I'll show you. It's 101 questions. It is a Black History reader. And what it reminded me of, the 101 questions, see, I'm one of them crazy type learners. I'll grab the book and I'll skip the intro and all that. But this time I started with everything except the cover, where I realized that it was a 101 questions. And it kind of reminded me of when we did the emotional maturity thing. We had all of those questions written out.
Right.
And you know, and you can do a whole course, you know, with having a question and answer with the participants in the classroom setting or meeting setting, or whatever. And so, yeah, in short, yeah, I like that, you know. And I saw that there's a lot of repetition. It also came with a DVD.
Oh, cool.
That was like
maybe we're gonna have to watch it, and we might have to. If you can play it, I don't know. You're not coming from a laptop; you're using your other device. But yeah, but that'll be cool.
I can go on the laptop, maybe another time. But
yeah,
I was listening. I caught the tail end when you and Mimi were talking, when you were talking about the financial literacy, and that's when she said kindercare. That made it click, you know, because I'm thinking kindergarten. And, you know, but still having access to young people and help them become familiar with as many financial terms as possible.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I mean, if we really go to what matters most, of course, our literacy and how many words we're introducing babies to early on. You know, that's really important, and how much we're talking to them. And if we're introducing those words on financial literacy early, you know, as well, then we're making sure they're set up to do bigger and better than we have in the in our past. So
Exactly.
so as we were thinking about just all that we were trying to do and put together, I did have some time to start working on editing. And so I'm going to do a quick snippet of some of the editing as I edit, and then you know, we'll just go from there and see where it goes.
I'll follow your lead.
Absolutely. Of course, today is our financial literacy course. Zooms with Toy and Terry take place every day this week. We'll be setting a schedule to try to make sure that everything's a little more in sync. And hey, I mean, it just goes how it goes. This is grassroots community work at its finest. And so we're just making it do what it do. So one thing, when I talk about vulnerability, when I talk about vulnerability, when I talk about comfort zones, this right here is what I had really ultimately been avoiding having to do. Wonderful, and really elevate the thing indeed. So what I'm going to do is, this feature here is essentially the YouTube editor feature. And so what I've done, and if I zoom out, we have a 20-minute long video. And within those spaces, there's not necessarily dead air, but it's dead information. So I want to be able to cut some of those things out. So what I was able to do is zoom in right in on the front and do some, you know, quick editing. And I'm going to try to move this here back to the beginning. And so, although maybe what I'll do is this to show what the initial video looked like. So let me make sure I got the name of it. This is the Strategic Partnerships 101. So this is kind of like, hey, this is the intro to why we're doing this. And I just threw the name Hustlenomics on it, because at the end of the day, you know, we're trying, this is the economics for those who haven't necessarily, who really know how to hustle, but they just don't necessarily know the economics and business and how capitalism is moving, and we really have to reshape how we're defining making that money and who we're impacting. And so we're just trying to put a more holistic view on it. But let's look at how that video looks before. So Hustlenomics 101 and Zoom meetup is that, you know, there's definitely levels, financial levels, and not everybody is there. But I think the principle. Let's see if I run it back, because it looks like it may automatically update. So let me see if it's already done some of my edits. It may have. Right. So me and my rich friends, I think that's really funny that you brought that up, because what I noticed, you know, from the meetup, recent Zoom meetup, is that, you know, there's definitely levels, financial levels, and not everybody is there, but I think the principle applies. So if, you know, just kind of getting some recording done as we go through and work on the financial. Okay, so that's that piece of just the beginning, and it's like, no, I don't want to have all of that. You know, I'm shuffling around, I'm doing that. So in the video editor, I've gone and tried to cut out some of the excess and see if I can narrow it down. Now, this is the first time I've run it back, because I've just been kind of trying to play with it. So this is the first. This is the premiere. Let's see how it goes. Can you see the screen? It's black, right? You see my the black screen before the window, or are you still on my editor? Y'all, can you hear me? Hello? Okay, I'm gonna press play. Did I mute y'all? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and, but either way, I'm gonna press play. Hopefully y'all see my screen. So me and my rich friends, I think that's really funny that you brought that up. Definitely levels, financial levels, and not everybody is there, but I think the principle applies. So as we go through and work on the financial literacy course as a community co-development course, right? And I think what you brought up about having rich friends is connected to the work that we're doing, because the difference is we don't always recognize that the folks that we're working with are indeed working with limited resources. We're hoping that we're putting something out there that will eventually be seen as something that's wonderful and really elevate the thinking, work towards the evolution of how people are transforming their lives through financial literacy, through mental wellness, spiritual, emotional maturity. Those are things we're doing. Things that aren't necessarily in touch with the needs of folks who are absolutely poor. So, in the same amount of time that I didn't get any of that information out there, I've been able to cut out some space and get that done. Was everybody able to see that?
No, I wasn't able to see. I just seen a black screen. I kept trying to press unmute, and unfortunately, it was stuck or something.
Okay.
It said that you could unmute.
Okay. Are you on a laptop?
No, I'm on my phone at the moment.
Okay. Okay, I see. All right. So yeah, so that could be the difference. Did you see it play, or did you just hear it, Terry? Did you actually see it from beginning to end full screen?
I saw it from beginning to end, yes.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I guess it could very well be the feature, but that's unfortunate. But fortunately, we have this recorded, so we'll be able to go ahead and share that with you and make sure that you can see that recording. So sorry about that, Miss Mimi.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. But yeah, I think I'm excited. I don't know if that was the baby or you, Miss Mimi, but I felt like the baby was cheering for me. So thank you. I'll take it. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yes. Yes, he's a very enthusiastic little guy, so he definitely cheers us along as we go.
I appreciate that, because I felt like that was a little cheer. So I needed to hear that. Thank you, sir. Oh my goodness. So funny. Okay, but yeah, so that's what I've been working on, but that's also been what I've been fighting. And so we have to consider that there are I think there's a lot of great talents within our community who have just been really hesitant, and they've been kind of possibly selling themselves short because of not wanting to extend beyond their comfort zone. They're used to what they're used to. They're used to what they're good at, and they do a lot of it. And so it's really important that we're helping coach them through those things that they may not be as good at, by making sure that they're developing certain habits of mind. And so that's what takes us to this place where we were talking about the competencies, the things, the areas to address. And I guess we've made it clear that Ms. Mimi is clearly an educator, and she's done this. And so I'd like to be able to hear how you've already put these pieces into the courses that you've delivered and offered for folks around these areas, or if you really feel that they are connected to developing a sound financial literacy background and foundation for yourself and for your family. So we listed accountability, discipline, ownership, problem solving. And so those were some of the things that we brought up. And then offering meaningful service to solving problems, developing a statement of business for business. So I guess there we were trying to really just make sure that we were helping people identify a need and figure out how to fill that need as a means to also making money, right? This is this social aspect of making sure that our business isn't just about a single bottom line, but a triple bottom line that includes our environment and our social impact as well. It was really important to understand what is money. And we had one of our group members, one of our community members come in and talk about how money doesn't exist, right? And so that if we take on this idea as money as a device, how do we use that same notion of exchange to help us navigate how we're going through this? Isn't like you had a course on survival, right? Survival during COVID and things like that. And so, you know, those kind of tools are definitely the kind of tools we'll need. And I'll welcome any, you know, thoughts that you might have on this so far.
Mm. Excuse me, I'm eating a bagel.
That's okay. That's so funny. Me too. Mine has sesame seeds on it. So I was over here, you know, I was like, I hadn't had a bagel in so long. And then I work in the pharmacy, and we were able to get a little treat, and it was from Panera. And so I'm so excited about this bagel, I have to admit. So I totally understand.
Listen, I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, I feel like accountability wise, that there aren't many programs offering the like meaningful services, and really the ones that are offering services aren't working to truly solve the problem. They're working to put a band-aid on the problem for financial literacy, because the more that you don't know, the more that they make money from you. And you know, especially in our communities, I feel like we can offer people better opportunities to learn about, you know, even the basic question of what is money, because we understand the poverty-induced trauma that people are facing as a people. And I think that it makes it a little easier to say, okay, sis, we understand that you can't put, you know, that $50 in there a week, or that $100, like the, many of the programs are asking you to do. But you could start off with the $5 or the $20, putting it in there, you know, and then if you fall short one week, you know, where you don't have the $20, but you have the $5, put the $5 in, and then next week, maybe you do have that extra 15 to add to what you're putting in.
That's right.
And if you put it in a frame of mind like that, because we understand where they may be coming from, I feel like it gives people a safer way of feeling like they can actually contribute and do the program, versus me saying, okay, put $20 in, put $20 in, put $20 in, knowing that like, hey, that $20 was what their mother needed for the bus, you know, to get to work, and they're like 16, but they still want to be a part of the program. And then the next week, you know, that $20 was a meal, you know,
Right.
that maybe they had to eat from. And so it becomes, oh, I really can't do this. So I'm not really committed to learning the rest of it, because it's not attainable for me to be able to financially contribute any real money, or to even like, what's the point of knowing this? This is, you know, it kind of becomes that whole teenage, this is stupid. I don't know how, I mean, I don't got $20. So, I mean, I don't really need to know this information.
Right.
Versus, I feel bad about this. I would love to contribute $20, but I can't.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I take this knowledge and use it in the future? You know, they're not thinking like that. They think, you know, right now.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
we have to give them goals that help them to fulfill right now, that
Yeah.
will help them in the future too, because it will help them by knowing that I can put in $5, you know, and when I can't put in $5, I put in $5 the next week.
Right. Yep, absolutely. And you know, and that's that level, yeah, that's definitely that level of accountability that works. And I also find one thing that's interesting is and I don't quite understanding, and maybe there's a piece in between that I'm missing that kind of serves as a bridge. But I've seen that I've worked with youth who are supposed to be putting in hours, and I give people the, you know, the freedom to say, hey, this is when your timesheet is due. put in your hours, make sure that you've accounted for the work that you've done. Here's how you log it, and, be on time, right? Those kind of things that we want to be able to offer someone as a skill to help them to build that skill, those kind of things. I don't know. I'm not sure why it's difficult to get somebody to be accountable for what they're doing in order for them to get money. If it, you know what I mean? Because you can't make money if you don't put in a work log, or you put in a timesheet, And so, but I've seen that working with some students, and I don't, and again, this is just me trying to grasp exactly what barriers there could be to those kind of things. But hey, show me that you've done work,
The barrier is that there's not even with for example, I have a daughter that I'm in the process of adopting. She comes from a home that a mother did not work. A father worked, but he just did a lot of other things as well. And so she comes from the place of, okay, she's seen one person leave and one person was always there in the home with her. So we make it a point to tell her, we're going to work. All right, where are you going? Oh, you're going to Yaya's. Why are you going to Yaya's? Oh, Mama has to work. Papa has to work. So that it become, it's a new sense of training that we're going to do what we need to do. And then now I've started, because she's picked up that concept, I can say now to her, she said, oh, your mama go to work? Yes, mama goes to work. Mama has to go to work to make the money so that you can have the things that you need.
Right.
And then she'll say something like, oh, mama, I want this thing. And I'll say, well, then mama has to go to work so that you can have those water bottles that you want. And so I think that sometimes that comes from a place of, sometimes it's something they don't see. Sometimes it's not something that even if they see it, they're not told that this is where this person is going. It's like, okay, this person leaves every day for 8 hours, but like, okay, I'll see them when they get back. There's no, right. I'm going to work, or this is what I do at work. I'm an accountant. Like, what does an accountant do? You know what I mean? Kids don't know. And it's like, I've had assignments for the kids where I'll say, okay, it's career day is coming up. Tell me what your mom and your dad do, or, your grandma, or whoever you live with, what do they do? And literally they'll say they go to work. Okay, so what do they do at work? I don't know, or it's like something very foreign to them, that like, oh, well, he's a lawyer. Okay, great. So he's a lawyer. What does he do at work as a lawyer?
Right.
I don't know. He gets a lot of calls at home and he does this and that. So they don't really understand what it is that somebody's even doing, because parents don't realize you need to break down to these kids what it is that, you want them to learn. Because they don't know that, like, they know that they're eating a sandwich. If you put peanut butter on there, it's like, I'm eating a sandwich. Eating a sandwich with peanut butter and jelly.
Right.
Oh, I'm having a sandwich with peanut butter and jelly. Then it connects the dots for them.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the problem. Some of the connection of the dots are not there.
Yep. Totally understand. What were you going to say something, Terry?
Yeah, I was, when you talked about accountability and them not knowing, I'm trying to think back to when I first heard the word accountability, to let alone to put meaning to it.
Right.
And that's something that goes with, the what's spoken in the home, that people, the children, they come to the table and they might not be exposed to the kind of vernacular that you want to give to them. So you're talking to a preschooler, elementary schooler, and you're talking about being accountable, but they've never heard the word before, so they don't have any idea of what it actually means. And I've seen in public school where they'll be testing kids in the 2nd and 3rd grade and asking them for analogy. They're looking for analogies on the end of grade tests. They don't know what an analogy is,
Right.
and
And
they're
they've never
heading
heard the word all year long.
all year long. It's the same thing with accountability. And another one was this principal used to do words of wisdom every morning on his morning announcements. So one day I said to him, I said, you know, these kids don't know what wisdom is. You know, so when you ask them, when we asked a couple of them that were walking by, what is wisdom? Oh, that's something that Mr. Kennedy talks about, you know, in the morning announcements. But they didn't have a handle on what it actually is. And so what you're talking about, what Mimi was talking about also, if we give them a new vocabulary and a new vernacular to go with it at those younger ages, they'll be able to put meat on it. That's like the skeleton, you know. And then when you give them the meanings of those things and give them examples of those meanings, they will skyrocket in terms of progress in understanding what it is that that we're trying to teach.
Absolutely. And then not only that, but you also have to, if there are certain words that they relate to, for example, I see you have hustle mentality. You know, if you say to, you know, a group of kids that is from, you know, the hood, let's just go there. So if you say that, you know, oh, you know, you need to hustle to get so and so, you know, they'll say, oh, okay, well, I need to do what I need to do to get that. That's what that means to them. Versus if you
Right.
say, you know, you need to, you know, even if you said something, you know, as basic as you need to work hard to get so and so, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, to them it's not as relatable as you need to hustle to do what you need to, you know, you need to hustle this money up. Oh, okay. Listen,
Right.
they will go
And
and they will, if they've got to, they will sell 5 t-shirts if they've got to make, you know, that money. So
Right.
sometimes I feel like it's also about being relatable to the
mm,
youth that you work with, because
Absolutely.
without that you're failing them. You know, because I've seen where you know, a teacher would wear a suit and tie every day, suit and tie, suit and tie, suit and tie. There was another teacher, he would wear like, you know, some jeans and a shirt, um, you know, or some slacks and a shirt, because usually we had dress down day on Fridays, but he would wear slacks and a, you know, and just a relatable kind of shirt. The kids always gravitated towards him.